Don't we all wish we could escape the horrors and hardships of the modern world, simplify our lives back to the somewhat happier days of yesteryear? Well, for a few lucky folks, this is the world they've created for themselves and their families. But peace has a way of being too fragile to sustain, no matter what you try. Crime and disease follow you wherever you go, but so does horrific creatures that live in the woods, surrounding your idyllic home, making sure you don't venture out and back to the towns. And the bad colour? Well, you better bury it. That's right, guys. Today we are looking at 2004's The Village.
Are we having theme music? Like, how do we... Is it just start with us talking?
Yeah, Dave's gonna do us some, like, a jingle, I think.
Dave.
Nah.
Danielle.
2 Limes and a Lemon.
Hello all, and welcome back to another episode of the 2 Limes and a Lemon podcast, the podcast where we look at movies both old and new to discuss between us. I am your host Nat, and I'm joined today by my two co-hosts Danielle and Dave. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
I have come here to speak about this movie Sister Natalie.
Before we get into discussing today's movie, we'll have a quick chat about what we've been consuming this week. Now, that doesn't necessarily just apply to food, but what media have you been consuming? TV, movies, games, or books? Dave, we'll start with you.
I have been consumed by the gym this week. Basically today. I've started going back. If you're gonna have a membership, I do recommend you using it. Otherwise, I've not used it for a while.
Hot take there.
Hot take. If you're gonna get a membership for something, use it. And my God, the stairs have never been more tough. I only did 10 minutes. I remember back in the day when I first started, I could do it for ages. And today I was just like, this is exhausting. I was like having like, I feel sick. I've run a marathon. Yeah, so my body needs to recuperate and get back to knowing how to work. It's peak self. But I did some weights today and stuff, so that was nice. I can feel it in my arms at the moment. So tomorrow is going to be a horrible day where I can't lift anything.
Danielle, what have you been up to?
Sort of related then. I've been watching this documentary about this extreme athlete. It's on HBO. It's called Dark Wizard.
Okay.
It's about this mountain climber who was a little bit tortured and did a lot of these like without a rope free solo climbs, and he also did this like base jumping where you like jump off a cliff with a parachute. And so then he created this thing called free basing, where he would free solo a cliff, and then if he felt like he was going to fall off, he would kind of propel himself off and do a base jump with it. Climbing and that kind of stuff isn't something I'm normally interested in, but these HBO documentaries are really well done, and I ended up I knew nothing about this guy. I remember hearing about the Free Solo movie, and that guy is also in this a little bit. He comes off a little bit of as a jerk, where he's like always trying to beat the other guy's speed records for things. Yeah. But it wasn't a big interest of mine, but like the HBO documentaries are really well done. And
they made it compelling.
Yeah, and I'm up to the 3rd episode, and then finally I was like, I gotta know, like, this guy definitely died, like, had to have died the way everybody is talking about him, but also, like, the lifestyle he lived. And so I ended up, after watching the 3rd episode, even though there's only 1 episode left, I couldn't leave it without, like, looking up how he passed away. Oh, he did pass away. Spoiler not.
Spoilers. Yeah.
Dave, do you have any interest in rock climbing?
No. Well, we watched Apex the other day, and we were saying, like, because Nat was talking about it on a podcast on the Round the World in 80 Days podcast, the best film in the world, and we were saying how climbing, it just doesn't seem of interest. It just seems painful and terrifying because you're up so high and you've got the idea of falling, and it's just all these horrible grips you got to get into and the upper body strength,
and you got to be concentrating the whole time.
It just seems like there's no rest point. But when she's kayaking, I was like down like the rapids and stuff, I was like, I'm happy with that. As long as I've got a helmet on, I'll be fine. But I was like, that looks enjoyable. But like up high in the cold, Like, just get in a plane if you want to see high heights. That'd be fine. What about you, Natalie? What have you been doing?
Well, thank you for asking, David. I have been playing this Steam demo, Retro Rewind Video Store Simulator, which is a mouthful. Obviously, it's a store sim game, which I really like, but it is a little bit different in a typical one in that it's not just standing behind the till and sorting out the change. So you're working in like a Blockbusters, basically, doing like rentals and returns. So, but you're not just like where a lot of these sorts of games you just like do the pricing and then like people come up to the till. This one is like you're sorting out like the genre selections, you're making like slushies for people, promoting the new releases. So like when a new film comes out, you're like making sure you've bought like the stands that go with it and stuff.
There's something about the refreshment aspect of those type of games that I really enjoy too. Like you have to keep like restarting the machine so that I don't know why that like scratches an itch in my brain.
Very much like, also like you said with your tiny bookshop game last week, you're like recommending titles to customers who are struggling to decide. So they'll be like, oh, I want like a critically good film that's like old or like a particular genre. So these ones aren't real films, like your ones were like real books, but you've got to go around the thing and be like, oh, what are like the reviews on this one, sort of thing. So I've quite enjoyed it. Like, it's on the demo, you've got like 7 days where it's like the actual gameplay, and then after 7 days you can carry on playing, but there won't be any like progress sort of thing. But I would recommend having a go if you like those sorts of games. Like I say, it's free on Steam at the moment.
That one sounds interesting. I'm going to check that one out because that sounds...
Yeah, definitely. I think you would like it, actually.
I'm still struggling to decide whether I want to get a handheld for Steam games. I love my console, but I am kind of trying to force myself more to look at the Steam games because it is just so easy to like put on the console. But I'm trying to get in the mood of like getting the Steam Deck, putting on some music, like not just like sitting on the couch, kind of like varying where I'm sitting. So, now on to the main event. We're carrying on with our 6 degrees of separation topic, where we have the task of linking the next movie to the one before in some way. Now, that could be actors, directors, particular crew members, or themes of the movie itself. This week, it's my turn, and I had to link back to Danielle's previous choice, which was Wes Anderson's The Darjeeling Limited. I chose to link the actor, namely Adrien Brody, and I was so lucky because I could easily link it back to one of my favourite movies, The Village. So, what is the movie of The Village? Well, if you haven't seen it or watched it before, I do suggest you do, because this podcast is most definitely going to spoil one of the great twists of cinema history. But for those who have seen it, here is a little recap. The village follows a small community of settlers. They have mostly a harmonious existence away from the towns, which the elders tell the younger generations are full of murder, debauchery, and criminals. Each of the elders has been affected in some way by a family member that was killed in a horrendous way before they decided to settle here. However, the one part of their existence that is a little fraught is that in Covington Woods that surrounds their glade, there are monsters making sure no one goes into the woods. The monsters, however, have a truce with the villagers that they will not bother them if they do not enter their domain. However, that truce is put into jeopardy when Lucius, played by Joaquin Phoenix, ventures into the woods and is seemingly witnessed by one of the creatures. The creatures attack the village and in retaliation, and it's clear to him not to try again. So he then falls in love with Ivy Walker, played by Bryce Dallas Howard, and decides to settle down. But this upsets Noah Percy, played by Adrien Brody, who also loves Ivy and decides to express that by stabbing Lucius multiple times. The narrative then switches to Ivy, who in her distraught state is allowed to travel into the woods for medicine to save Lucius's life. I will start with our usual question. Have you seen The Village before? Which I'm going to assume most of you have.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I have. I saw it at the cinema when it was released. My first, Signs. Was it Signs that came first?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was my second film of his that I've seen.
The Sixth Sense came before that, though.
I didn't see that. I was too young.
Yeah, I saw this. I don't think I saw it in the theater, though.
I didn't see Signs in the theatre, but I did see this in the theatre. And what do you remember from your original viewing of the movie?
I found it interesting. I remember seeing the trailer going, oh, this looks good. And then when I watched it, I was like, oh, this is bad.
Oh.
I thought it was all right, but I just wasn't that interested. I wanted more. I thought there was going to be more monsters. The trailer made it out like there was going to be more monster stuff.
I remember liking it. I think I liked it more than I liked Signs even. But I think this was like the turning point where and Unbreakable came in sometime in there too. That one didn't appeal to me so much. But I think around this time people were just like, ugh, what's the twist going to be now after
you're
one?
Expecting it.
But I was surprised. Like, I didn't see it coming. I thought that they were in old-timey times and didn't anticipate where it was going to go. And it was interesting. I don't think I've rewatched it since originally. I mean, I liked it, but not enough to be one that I had on rotation. And it was fun watching it, I think, the second time, knowing the twist and kind of seeing the hints to it earlier, if you're aware of it.
I thought, obviously, when I first went in, when they initially do the William Hurt's character, Ivy's dad, tells her like the creatures aren't real and we made them just like to keep everybody like here. I thought that was going to be the twist, so that I wasn't expecting like the double twist of like once she gets outside, obviously she can't see anything, but we as the audience can see that it's modern day.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a double whammy twist.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think I probably had a similar situation once the first twist was revealed, and then knowing that it was even more, that they were sort of trad wives, like.
Would you guys like to live in the village?
No.
Would you like to up sticks and go and live in like a community that's away from the modern world?
No, it looks too cold. Everything looks cold and like too windy. Big open field like that, the wind's got to be howling at night.
Here you got the woods on all sides of you. That would break it.
It's It'd be freezing. In winter months, I'll be frozen.
Excuse me, you're the person that says you love snow.
Yeah, I don't like living in it. I like.
That's why
you would love the cold.
That's why they're all in woolen outfits and they've got their woolen cloaks and stuff like that. That aspect of it doesn't bother me. I think I'm guessing, Natalie, you would also agree. I think we both have an appreciation of old time things, but I think in talking in modern parlance, I would say I'm more on the cottagecore side, where I like to dabble into it, but I still like to have my modern day conveniences. So I'm not going full trad wife where I want to be
making butter. Yeah,
making butter, but also like my husband makes all the rules. Well, I mean, I don't have a husband. But you know what I mean? Like me and single woman in society, old time society, I'm like an old maid and forgotten about by society. So I'm happy to forgo that aspect of it. But you know what? Making some fresh bread, wearing some like simple clothes and
some nice boots.
Yeah, like I'm on to that. How about you, Nat?
I would totally go like in a heartbeat. I think like if the worst thing they've got to worry about is monsters in the woods, well, that's a lot less than we have to worry about in modern day society. No, I think I would. I mean, obviously, it's easier for them because they don't know of things like TVs and stuff, whereas obviously the elders of the village did have something to miss or leave behind. I mean, not so much the medicine aspect of it. Yeah. Obviously, the big part of this movie is that obviously once Lucius gets stabbed, and then also there's a boy, when we first meet the characters, there are a funeral of a boy that could have been saved possibly by medicine, they mentioned, that was in the towns. So yeah, medicine obviously I would have liked to have brought with me.
Well, I think that's one of the, before we started talking about this, I think the one sort of failing of this film for me is when you start thinking of the logistics of things, some of the plot holes, it doesn't stand up as much. And like the idea is William Hurt's character's father was super rich, and that's probably how they've set up this sanctuary for themselves. And so I don't know why they couldn't have created some sort of loophole where they could still get modern medicine somehow.
Yeah, I like a delivery service.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've got a doctor.
Like the magic brew cabinet that no one can touch.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because they definitely have some setups to keep people under the illusion. You know, once Lucius starts to kind of push the issue of leaving the village, then the monsters come and they have this like monster night. And they have the shed that nobody can enter for who knows what
where
reason.
They hide their costumes.
And they set up the fact that the very fairy tale monsters that they created are so bad with these red cloaks, and anything red is dangerous, and you can't even let it be out in the open.
I think what should have happened was when they get to come of age, they just have a sit down and go, look, really sorry, but there's a modern world out there and you can do all this cars and stuff. If you want to go explore that, you can, but we're going to stay here in the fantasy that we've made. So
no, that wouldn't work.
But you can come visit us, but you can't.
They can't visit because they'd be bringing that. Like, they have to be cut off from the world for it to work, because otherwise people are going to go out in the world and bring back all their baggage, basically.
I think what you're describing, Dave, is very similar to over here, which I don't know if you guys have similar communities in the UK, but we have the Amish or like the Mennonites that live in these kind of old-timey societies where they don't have any modern-day conveniences. And they do something similar called the Rumspringa, where when a young adult is of a certain age, they are made to like leave the community for a short period of time, and then they have to come back on their own. So it has to be them as an adult accepting this lifestyle rather than, you know, being told to do it. Now, granted...
Yeah, I think that would be fair.
But how would you explain that to the younger generation in this place that are meant to know nothing?
They're just going out into the world.
You can't be like, oh, well, your sister's going back to the towns, which is the place that we've told you can't go.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean...
Well, really, it's just for the older, the elders to live out their little passion life and then pass away, and then they can just do whatever they want.
Because they have to think of something, because they now have this next generation of kids. And I think they kind of bring up this struggle later on after Ivy does leave, you know, comes back. Like, we have to decide if we're going to stay in this lifestyle, if we're going to change it at all. I mean, they give Ivy these, like Ivy knows what's going down, but she is, because probably mostly because she's blind, she's given 2 young men from the community to travel with her, and they both get like completely freaked out and abandon her pretty early on. But they give her this like thing of magic rocks or whatever,
that she knows is completely fake, obviously, but it's meant to make the men want to help her get through the woods.
But maybe that is something that they could have done to do that.
What, given them, be like, you can go to the towns because you've got the magic rocks, but if you don't have the magic rocks, you can't leave the town.
Yeah, or some,
like the village.
Or some sort of training, like some sort of ritual, like coming of age ritual.
Yeah, like the rocks only work when you get a certain age or something.
Yeah, but like I got to wondering about like the sort of older generation of children who are all starting to marry and whatnot, and they all act like children still. And so I looked up the ages, and Joaquin Phoenix was in his 30s, Adrien Brody was in his 30s, Bryce Dallas Howard I think was 23 at the time, and like Joaquin Phoenix looks older, but he's acting like he's like an 18-year-old boy in this.
Well, they said, like, when he goes to the town meetings a few times, when he's like, first of all, he goes there saying, like, oh, I want to go to the towns to get, like, medicine or whatever because his friend had died. He always brings, like, it all written out on paper, like a kid doing, like, a recital at school sort of thing. That did stand out to me. I was like, he's always got paper, whereas everyone else just kind of goes up and speaks. He's always, like, clutching his little bit of paper.
Well, and then they have these, like, some of the boys have this game that they play, which then comes up later in the film with Ivy in the woods, where they stand on a stump with their arms out, their back to the woods, to see who can stand close to the woods the longest. And I think one of those boys is the one that marries Kitty, who is Ivy's sister.
Yeah, he is.
And so they're clearly not boys, but they're, you know,
still playing like child.
Yeah.
But wasn't it, it's about innocence, isn't it? The elders are trying to protect like innocence and like purity, but then in the end it's like, even if people haven't been subjected to like what they say is like the depravity of the towns, that is still going to find a way in, because it's just human nature that people do bad things and there's not really a rhyme or reason for it. People just do shitty things.
Well, if anything, the most childlike, innocent of all of them, the Noah, the Adrien Brody character, is the one that brings the most violence and, you know, what they're trying to escape into the community.
You mentioned the night when the monsters come into the town after Lucius was seen in the woods and it all like goes madness. Ivy stands at the doorway with her hand out and she's like, Lucius will come and check to see if we're okay. And her sister and Noah are going down in the basement and they're all like, shut the door, don't let him in, blah, blah, blah. However, we see, as the audience, the monster coming up to Ivy's hand as she's got it hanging out before Lucius obviously rushes in, grabs it, and we go into that slow motion scene of them running down. If he hadn't have got there, what do you think the elders that would have been dressed up in the costumes would have done to Ivy? Would they have hurt her?
No,
because obviously they would have been seen to be next to her because Kitty would have seen them. Or do you think that they would have been like, oh, she's blind? So in much the same way that they made up an excuse for Noah going into the woods and they didn't attack him, would they have used the same for her?
I think they would have gotten close. I think they would have like breathed on her or made a noise to scare her away. I think as they came into view, I think Kitty and Noah would have shut the basement door and not have watched
and left her outside.
Yeah. Because they're you know, they're raised from childhood to believe, you know, these things are out, they're dangerous, they're going to kill you, you have to hide. And, you know, like she didn't physically pull her down into that basement. It was sort of like she was accepting her own fate. And I mean, Kitty isn't the strongest of characters anyways, so I don't think she would have been the brave one to kind of watch her sister potentially be mauled or whatever.
I reckon if the creature would have touched, I reckon the person in the suit would have just like maybe just turned around or went the other way or something and were like, oh shit, I'm actually too close to this person. But if they did grab them, then maybe it would have been a thing of like they would have had to sort of tell her at least it's not real, it's all fake.
Or maybe they would have injured her in a way that wasn't too injurious, like scratched her face or something. I don't know. What do you think? Do you have thoughts on it, Natalie?
They might have pushed her over or something.
Yeah, pretty much the same as you guys. I think that they might have pushed her down, something like that. Like nothing too harsh. Like when Lucius goes into the woods the first time and it's like he looks up and it's like almost like a weird camera angle of like he could clearly see where the creature is going, but we as the audience are like a static camera almost.
Well, it pans, doesn't it? And then it shows the creature go behind the tree, and it's like, well, if he was looking continuously, you would see the creature shuffle off into the distance.
Yeah. And it's very much the same as that, because obviously Lucius must have got a good look at the creature coming up to the door from his angle, but from our little bit of the screen that we can see of it, it's weird how they show the creatures. It's like you can see them, but not until the bit at the end when you got Adrien Brody dressed up as the creature do you actually see like the full outline of what it really is.
I feel like you don't see them enough, do you? You don't see them enough, the creature. I remember when I watched it at the cinema, I was like, I swear there was a lot more creature scenes, not just the one attack at the village and that was it. I was like, I swear there was loads more. But no, it was only that one.
Yeah, I like the fact you don't see it. But I was struck by how much it looks like the Saw.
Oh, yeah.
Like pig monster now. Like obviously back then Saw was like not a thing, was it? I don't know when Saw came out, but I feel like it was later than this. But now we're looking at it, I'm like, that's all I can see.
It looks a bit to me like a plague doctor too. Like the maybe just like the cloak of it all. But yeah, I think that's an effective horror film thing where you don't see a lot of it, and a lot of it is you filling in the blanks, and that becomes scarier because, you know, whatever they show you is going to be much less frightening than whatever the scariest thing in your brain can come up with.
I just thought there'd be more scenes with creatures in that's what I thought it was all about. I thought it was about these villagers stopping the creatures and stuff.
Well, I think maybe it might have been a reaction, the director's reaction to Signs, where everybody like tore apart the alien design in Signs as being not scary at all because you saw too much of the aliens. And so in this, seeing just enough to, you know, get you a little creeped out was enough. I don't know.
What did you think of like the change of narrative when it goes from obviously Lucius's story and then Ivy takes over once he's been like incapacitated?
I mean, I thought at the point where it's clear that they love each other, it became their story. And so I don't know as though I saw it separate out into two separate stories. I saw it as them finding that they loved each other, affirming that, and then her having to save him.
Yeah, it was a good transition from one to the other. I think they were both quite prominent in the story anyway. I know you only saw Ivy a little bit way into the movie, then she turns up. I think it transitions well. I feel it's like both of their movie in that sense. After that porch scene when they're together, I really like that. That was one of my favourite scenes when they're sitting on that porch. Just because he's like, why do you not speak your mind? And he's like, why do you always speak your mind? Why don't shut up for 10 seconds and let me speak? And he's like,
while we're on the track of that, what did you think of the romance aspect? Do you think it worked well?
Yeah, I thought so. I think they're both very childlike again. You know, they're not acting like probably people their age in a modern setting would act, but given the setting that they're in, it was very believable. But the thing I didn't understand or believe is why we needed Kitty to propose to him first.
Well, yeah, I think that sets me up to not really like Kitty, to be honest, because she obviously, when we kind of assume at the beginning that she's going to be like the lead like actress in it, in that she is talking to her dad being like, oh, I've decided I'm going to marry some guy, and then we see her proposing to Lucius, and then obviously we have the jump cut to her like crying on the bed when she's been rejected, and then that's how we meet Ivy. But she then literally, I don't know what the span of the movie is, but it seems like 2 days later she's like, I found love again and we're gonna get married tomorrow. So it doesn't really, she's just like so like grabbing the moment sort of thing.
Do you know who that guy is that she married?
See, we were both talking about him the other day, and we were just like, I feel like you thought it was Ben Schwartz. I felt like he was the guy from Cabin in the Woods is who I thought he was.
He is.
He is that guy, right? Good.
Yeah, he's the stoner from Cabin in the Woods. Yeah. There were a lot of people in there that I either forgot were in this or have since become famous enough that I could recognize them. Like I didn't remember Jesse Eisenberg being in this.
To be fair, he's got such a small part, but he does have like quite a good part in that he announces a load of things that are happening. He's like, Ivy's back, or like, oh, this has happened, or like, and each time he came on, me and Dave were like, oh, there he is.
There he is, he's doing something.
And then Michael Pitt was in that. He's an actor that you don't see much anymore, but he was like pretty hot in the early 2000s.
What did he play in it?
He was Lucius's friend. He's like the second boy that goes into the woods with her that lasts just a little bit longer.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, is he the one that's like, oh, I'm going to go back? And then he's like, can you come with me?
Oh, yeah, that guy, yeah. And he's like, and he sort of looks at her for a bit and is like,
He's like, oh, you'll be all right. Like, they'll take pity on you. And then he's like, I'm going to go back. And he's like, will you walk with me? Like, she's got to walk with him or back to the village and then carry on her merry way. What do you think about the like color palette of like the mustard and against the red?
I'm a huge fan of mustard, to be fair. Not the color mustard, not actually mustard, that can go, but the color. Yeah, I really love that contrast of those mustard colours, and especially in like the red berries, that sort of pop colour, it just makes it pop even more. So
I did love the scene of Ivy standing there in her mustard cape in the middle of all the red berries.
I did feel that the sort of yellow-green mustard colour faded into the scenery a bit, though. It didn't stand out much, but I guess that's the point.
Now, for me, a big part of this movie of what made it stick with me is the soundtrack. I know I talk quite a bit about soundtracks in different films we listen to, but obviously this is a James Newton Howard score primarily, and it features a violin soloist called Hilary Hahn, and I think a violin is used very like thematically in this movie. Like all the big moments that happen, you've got like this undertone of a violin score. For me, this movie soundtrack on this was the reason that I learned how to play the violin. Like, it had such an impact on me that I was like, it's so beautiful sounding that I was like, I want to learn that. And obviously my playing does not sound anywhere nice as this. Mine sounds like a cat. But like, even Dave, who hasn't seen the movie in ages, when I was talking about it to you before we watched it the other day, even you were able to like
blah 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 blah. But it is an iconic song though. It is iconic.
You do love a James Newton Howard though.
Yeah, he did Pan. That was a good one. He did Fly. It's called Flying. It's a good song.
When you watched it this time, Danielle, did the soundtrack stand out to you at all?
Yeah, I thought it had a strong score, and I thought the sound design in general was pretty great in this. I think there's effective use of sound. The elders have some sort of like sound that they do to simulate the monsters that is pretty creepy.
Speaking about sound, in contrast, the lack of sound in the Lucius stab scene, I feel like that to me works really well in the Adrien Brody, obviously, like he comes in, Lucius is just talking about whatever he's talking about, and then he's it's all in his expressions of his face that something's wrong, and it's not until we look down and we see the knife like in his stomach, but there's like no audio of the knife at all. What did you think about that?
We've really gotten into a theme of like stabbing films, I feel like, on here.
Oh god, yeah.
It reminded me a bit of Undying Love? What was it? Enduring Love.
Yeah.
Like the just like casual stab scene in that one. But no, it worked for me as well. I noted that.
Yeah.
And then he goes back. He stabs him, and then he kind of walks away, and then he like quietly goes back and stabs him a few more times.
Yeah, it's that POV shot, isn't it? When he's like, I'm really sorry. Da, 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 da. I remember when I watched it at cinema, I didn't know it was because Noah liked Ivy.
My thing is, I don't know if he doesn't have like romantic love for Ivy, but he definitely has like a feeling of like loss, because obviously she's like his best friend sort of thing. She's the one that he hangs around with and does everything with. So I don't know if it's so much the romantic aspect of it, but is it just the loss of like your sister almost,
or this is my person.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
About there's an inference of an unrequited love between Sigourney Weaver and William Hurt's characters in it. And I didn't understand that. I didn't understand
why don't they kiss at the end?
What that had to do with anything. And why bring it up if you're not gonna.
The way I saw it is, obviously it's kind of like a running theme of, they've got this statement that a few characters make of like, sometimes people don't do the things that they want to do because they don't want people to like see that they want to do them. My view of their relationship is that if they had been in the town, like still in the modern day, him and his wife, who, to be fair, when they're talking, there's no romance, there's no like affection between them, they would probably be divorced. But because they're in like this world that they've created where everything's meant to be like pious and perfect, they've stayed together for the sake of that. But obviously he has a thing for the Sigourney Weaver character, but they can't act on it because it would go against what they're trying to be here. That's the way I see it.
It's interesting you use the word pious. It just reminded me now, there's no real religion or religious structure in this town.
No, there isn't.
Which I think you would normally think of when people are, when people want to go back to older values. There's usually like a religious aspect tied to it as well. It was kind of interesting. It didn't strike me until you just said that now.
One of the reasons I think that I like this movie so much is, I mean, I probably could, at some point, if we hadn't done the 6 degrees of separation, I would have probably used this movie as one of my hear me outs, because I know that it's, a lot of people don't like it. It's kind of like a divisive one. But one of the reasons that I like it is the Ivy Walker character. I love the way that they portray her as, obviously she is like the heroine of this piece, but she does it in a way that is still like feminine. She's still strong. Like, she isn't like effing and jeffing all over the place. She's quietly strong. Yeah. Like we asked in The Good Son, did you believe that the Noah character deserved to die?
No. I think he just was misunderstood and he didn't know really what he was doing.
So you think he was a redeemable character?
Yeah, I think he could have been. I don't think he needed to be killed.
I think at the point that he attacks her in the woods, he kind of crosses a threshold. And, like, what was he gonna do to her in that getup?
Yeah.
You know? Also, he was killing... No. Okay, I go back even further. He was the one killing all of the nondescript animals in the town, in the village.
Yeah.
So, no, he deserved to die. What were those animals? They looked like chihuahuas.
There was like a fox, like a tiny fox cub it looked like, and there was a rabbit at one point.
I think he just needed a bit of a telling off, really. I think he needed some...
I mean, to be
rules.
fair, they didn't know that he was the one killing the animals. At that point is when the elders are like, we actually don't know what's going on because the marks on the doors are like too high. We can't blame it on coyotes anymore. Like, the marks are like a person. So he was the one that was killing the animals when they were at the wedding, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, they had to have had an inkling. Like, they had a full-on house where he gets locked up when he's punished. Like, that was just for him, right? That wasn't like the
Well,
jail
nobody
that
else
was
went there. Yeah, it was just him.
Yeah.
It's quite rude.
Okay, so they've got that. There has to be some inkling. So why do you store the extra suit in the floor of that building?
I don't know. Why isn't it just hanging up in the shed with the other one?
Yeah, there was
Bad
plenty of
parenting.
room in the forbidden shed to hang another suit, to not have it underneath the one troublesome child in the village.
Because the elders want a bit of drama because they're bored. They're like, we need to get something to spice things up in this village. Everyone's just making bread like we wanted, but I just want some like
A bit of drama.
Yeah, so let's leave the door slightly ajar so someone can go in there.
Dave had a question yesterday when we watched it, in that it sounds dirty, but he said, what would be in your box? Because the elders each have a box that they keep mementos from their past lives in. And he was like, what would be in your box?
What's your memento?
Well, they kept like clippings, didn't they? Like,
Newspaper clippings.
my sister was raped. Newspaper clipping. I don't know that I would keep that. I wouldn't keep like the saddest of my memories. It'd be like the fact that I've like abandoned society is enough for me to always remember that my father was brutally killed. You know.
Would you have like a book in it that you would keep?
A Nintendo DS. Nintendo.
I would take the luggage from the Darjeeling Limited full of books. I can't even go on vacation without taking a bag full of books, so...
Or like a recipe book.
Society.
A recipe book. You could be like, I've invented this new thing to the village. You could be like the inventor, and it's like, you've not really done anything. You've just like invented, like, I don't know.
The elders will look at you like,
Jello.
excuse me,
Yeah.
we need to chat to you.
Or you'd be like, I've just made a new song, and then like bust out some like Bananarama or something. And they'd be like, wow, did you come up with that yourself? Yes.
They're all eating like the roasted goat and like roasted potatoes, and Dave brings out, he's like, I'm calling these fajitas.
Yeah. Going to like the end of the movie where Ivy goes over the hedge and we're in modern day times, and she meets Kevin, the wildlife reserve worker. If you were Kevin, what would your reaction be? Would you help her? Or would you be like, she's clearly got some issues?
This is another plot hole thing. I feel like the people who worked somewhat in the reserve should have been aware of some of the situation, which he clearly wasn't.
No. So you think they should have known that there's a community of people in there that want to stay isolated?
Yeah, and that's what they're protecting. In
Yeah.
and out. I think he reacted really slow. I thought that was the slowest scene in the film. I was like, why are we getting so much with Kevin slowly processing all of this?
Because
Come on, Kevin.
It's because the audience is processing what's happened, so they have to.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Because they're like, wow, it's such a good twist we've got here that we need the audience to really like focus on what's happened. Obviously, Kevin goes back to the shack and we have the director cameo.
Ugh.
And the newspaper that he's reading is just full of like the worst
Miserable.
things. It's like all these people have been massacred.
The radio also is playing like the saddest news of the most violent news of the world. And then he can't help himself. He cannot help himself. We hear his voice and you're like, oh, I know, this is M. Night Shyamalan, ha ha ha, director's cameo. And then you get a shot of Kevin going in to get the medicine out very unsneakily. I don't know how oblivious we're supposed to believe his boss is, but he opens the door and then we get the reflection of M. Night Shyamalan's face and you're like, oh, come on, buddy.
It's me, the director. Yeah.
The end of the movie, obviously, Ivy goes back with the medicine. Do you think that she got there in time and Lucius was saved? Because obviously it's left, we don't know what happens to Lucius.
All I know is they were not rushing quick enough to get that medicine into him.
Dave said that. He was like, why didn't the doctor run out to meet her? Why did he wait for her to get to the shack? Which I suppose leads us to our best and worst characters of the film. We'll start with Dave.
Best character has to be the little old lady character when they're all having their speech about we need to send Ivy out there, that all the elders are gathered just outside talking. And there's a little old lady and she's got her hands all together and she's all like, oh, and she just says no words at all. She's just there, but she's just going for it in terms of her acting.
I just imagine now you watching these movies and picking the most obscure character that you're going to claim is your favorite character. And if you can't find one of those, you find an inanimate object that becomes your favorite character.
No, I just loved her little moment.
Just to troll us.
You said you like the doctor yesterday.
No, what, the doctor who looks like... Oh, yeah, there's the doctor that looks like the dog man from Treasure Planet. Yeah, he looks the same as
Or
him.
if you know Dr. Quinn very well, he plays Horace, the postmaster.
But worst character has to be... Yeah, M. Night. I didn't like M. Night's character.
His cameo.
Yeah, he was really rude and really bad.
I liked Ivy and Lucius as a pair. Like, I liked them together. I really believed that, and I thought they made a nice, cohesive partnership. My least favorite, I think, is Noah for all the aforementioned issues that I had.
I picked Ivy as my favourite for the reasons I already gave, just about her being like a strong heroine. And then my least favourite was Kitty, just because she like flits and floats between men. And like you say, like she's... When in that scene where Ivy's standing at the door, like she could have easily gone back up and got Ivy and brought her back in, but she chose to protect herself. I know that she's protecting the younger children as well, but she could have just got up and gone and got her, and I feel like she should have done that. Favorite scene?
My favorite scene is in that attack scene when she's holding her hand out, and then you don't even see Lucius approach. You just see his hand grab her, and then the slow-mo of him pulling her into the cabin to save her. And just like that wordless demonstration of his love, like confirming it. Like they're, you know, you weren't really sure if it was just her all one-sided kind of pursuing him. And then he really confirms it in that one moment.
Well, mine's the same as yours, Danielle, that scene, but also the scene in the party where everyone starts going mad once they've heard the children screaming outside, and she walks on her own, like everyone sort of ditches her, they're all dancing and they ditch her, and she's walking with her hand out in front of her, and it's like a close-up on her face, and then again he comes in from the side and grabs her hand, and it's like before anything else he has gone to make sure where she is and then leads her with him, sort of thing. So they're very similar.
Dave, you mentioned when we were talking about the porch scene. I mean, that's a...
that's it, yeah. Or just, go flashback to when I said that about the porch scene. That's my favourite bit.
Okay, we'll do our rating. So for me and Dave, it's limes out of 5, and for Danielle, it's lemons. We'll start with Danielle.
I gave this 3.75. I really enjoyed it, but I didn't think it was quite a 4.
Okay.
So I knocked it back. But I also didn't think it was bad enough to be like a 3 or a 3.5. So I was surprised. I remember liking it when I saw it initially, but I've never gone back to watch it again, and I really enjoyed myself.
Dave?
Yeah, I'll give it a 3. It's a nice film. I'd watch it again. That's it's kind of like got a bit of charm to it, and like really doesn't take itself too seriously. However, like the behind the scenes of them putting it together sounded like they were like, this is the most intense thing we've ever done. This is amazing. We're going to go on boot camps.
Well, they did build a whole village.
Yeah, but then, like, it's like, oh yeah, cool. But it's like, it's such a short movie. It feels like there's no need to put that much effort into it.
I don't think it deserves the hate it gets.
No.
And I don't know if I think maybe if people revisit this one, they would be surprised.
I agree.
You giving it a 5?
No, I'm going to give it a 4.5. I mean, I was going to give it a 5, but then I was like, there are certain bits in it that I question. Or, like, the bit, like we said, with Kevin outside, it does drag it. It seems like it was going at, like, a momentum before that. And then, yeah, we get the twist, but then after it where he's like, oh, I'm going to go back now and see, like, M. Night in the thing, and that bit makes it drag, and it's like it almost loses the impact of then Ivy getting back to do, like, actually give them the medicine, I suppose.
Yeah.
So yeah, 4.5.
This makes me want to revisit The Lady in the Water.
Yes.
And because I know I hated that one.
Me too.
And I'm kind of curious if I will like it a little better on rewatch.
Yeah. Like, I don't even know if I got to the end of Lady in the Water. I remember watching it, but I honestly don't remember the ending. So I'm like, did I even finish it?
Because I know you and I both have an appreciation of The Happening. Like,
Oh, yeah.
on maybe not on the level it was intended to be made, but I highly enjoy that film.
To me,
so,
The Happening
maybe-
is a great comedy movie.
To me, it's a great B movie.
So, on that note, when we join you again next Wednesday, we will be going back to Dave's choice, who's going to link to this movie in either actor, tone, or theme. I'm excited because he has been through many, I will say already, of what he's going to link, and we've not got a definite yet. But I am excited.
Can I also say, I have picked a follow-up movie after every choice that Dave has made. And
So we're on our third one, aren't we?
Yeah.
If I feel like more have been
Some
thrown
might
out.
say I'm a bit lost with ideas.
Don't cue that up because you'll probably change your mind before next week.
Right, guys. Well, it's a bye from me.
And it's a bye from me.
And me too. Bye.
See you next Wednesday.